Good afternoon, everyone. We are so grateful and so glad that each of you all could join us this afternoon because each of you all in this room, and those who may be watching online, have played an integral part in showing what community looks like and what happens when the private and public and nonprofit sector come together to respond to a crisis and turn that crisis into community. So I want to say thank you on behalf of my fellow board members. There are going to be some comments made, especially by Reverend Nelson. But as the chairman of the board, I just want to say that representing all of us. Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of the board, I want to thank everyone for joining us this afternoon. Honorable members of the board, we are gathered today to take a moment to celebrate a number of truly selfless public servants who were involved in the response to the fire at the Darby House Senior Apartments on, of all days, July 4th. First, I'd like to ask Mr. Nelson, whose Varina district is home to Darby House Apartments, to share a few thoughts.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Likewise, I want to thank everyone for being here, all of you who are in this room. I'm glad that we are actually taking time today to shine light on the individuals who contributed to caring for our citizens. Some of those individuals are Henrico County employees. Some work with local nonprofits and community-based agencies. And we are fortunate to have those agencies and groups as partners invested in the well-being of our community. They all form a foundation for a saying that we like to use around here from time to time, that Henrico is a county with a heart. We're proud to say that on the night of July 4th and in the days that followed, their heart was on full display. Many of the people who responded to the fire at Darby House and worked through sleepless nights to support the 127 residents who were displaced by that fire will say that they were only doing their job, that it was business as usual, that they responded to the call. While we appreciate their grace and their humility, we feel obliged to say that they are wrong. There was nothing usual about the work that they did that night and in the days that followed. The work that they did was nothing short of remarkable, helping residents, helping neighbors in their particular time of need. It's the kind of work that we believe gives heart to our community and it deserves our attention. There's too many people to think calling out specific names, but those of you particularly from our teams and police and fire and social services and community revitalization and deputy county managers and directors who were involved. Even if your name is not called today, do know that your county sees you. We appreciate you. We value you. We are who we are because of people like you, each one of you that work each day to represent our local government. We say thank you. And to our partners, we say thank you as well. We see you and we appreciate you too. We can't do this alone. We do it together. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson. So let me recap July 4th. At 10:07 p.m., Saturday, July 4th, our emergency communications staff received the first call from an automatic alarm system at Darby House. Additional calls came in quickly, reporting that there was an active, heavy fire at the 4-story tall apartments, including on the roof. An engine company dispatched from Fire Station 2 was first on scene at 10:13 p.m. and used a deck gun to attack the fire on the roof. That began the county's response to what would be a 3-alarm fire. Would involve personnel from more than 30 fire and police units and would generate more than 430 calls to our 911 emergency communications staff. This was a historic fire, unlike anything that I've ever seen, that this Board of Supervisors have seen in our tenure with Henrico County. You know, I witnessed dozens of public safety employees doing what they do, risking their own lives to save the lives of others, providing selfless public service without hesitation. When I got there just after 11 that evening, I have to recap for y'all. First thing I saw was a police officer helping an elderly resident into his car so she can be in an air-conditioned space. And I was walking down this road that was blocked by many emergency vehicles that were responding, and I had to stop because the police officer had her walker on the roof of his vehicle, and I had never seen that. I saw our men and women spent from that initial response, and yet they were ready to go again. I saw the Henrico public safety machine in action, planning, working together, saving lives that very well could have been lost that night. Now, I'd like to ask our public safety agencies, because they have specific information, some details, and as Reverend Nelson noted, you know, there's so many of you that are here and others that are not, that really deserve and will receive it at an appropriate time additional recognition for the efforts that you undertook that evening. But I'm going to ask Kevin Pond, Chief of Emergency Management, to come forward, and he'll be followed by Fire Chief Doug Clavert, and then our Police Executive Chief Ken Burnett, who'll come forward. So Kevin?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Mr. Manager, firstly, thank you for having us today and recognizing those who responded to the Darby House Senior Apartments fire. Today I have the privilege of representing the Henrico Department of Emergency Communications, and I'll ask my staff to please come forward if you will. The 8 professionals shown on this slide deserve every bit of recognition they are receiving today. Sherry Weldon and Jennifer Smith were the first voices our callers heard, gathering critical information while people were experiencing what would become one of the worst moments of their lives. Supervisor Lorraine Shoemaker provided leadership and support as the incident unfolded. Lizzie Martin coordinated the response of our fire units, and Cameron Lawson managed the tactical fire channel supporting operations on scene, while Skylar Loy coordinated police radio operations. Kaylin Freeman stepped in to help manage the growing radio traffic, and Supervisor Amanda Wharton helped oversee radio operations and ensure resources were where they needed to be. Their professionalism, composure, and teamwork made an extraordinary difference. But I also want to recognize something that isn't shown on this slide. A major incident like this does not just involve the 8 individuals pictured here. It involves an entire communications center. While these communications officers and supervisors were dedicated to managing the Darby House incident, the rest of our communications floor continued managing every other call for service across Henrico County. Every other incoming 911 call, request for police, fire, and EMS, and every radio transmission still had to be answered, prioritized, and dispatched. One thing that makes 911 communications a little bit unique is that there is not another 911 center available to assist with our workload. There's no mutual aid for 911 centers. When a major incident occurs, the phones don't stop ringing, the radios don't become quieter, and our workload doesn't decrease. It simply grows. In just the first 4 hours of this incident, our center answered more than 430 phone calls while simultaneously entering and dispatching more than 150 additional calls for service in addition to the Darby House response. That level of service is only possible because of the teamwork, professionalism, and dedication of every person working that shift, not just those highlighted here today. Our communications officers are often called the first responders. They are the calm voices before help arrives and the unseen professionals behind every police officer, firefighter, and paramedic responding in the field. While we proudly recognize these outstanding employees today, they represent every member of the Henrico Department of Emergency Communications who worked that incident and exemplify what makes Team Henrico's public safety team so exceptional. When our community needs us, we answer the call together. That's all I have. Thank you, guys. I was asked to keep it to 2 minutes, so I think I've done that, but I just wanted to mention Cameron Lawson. So for those that don't know, working the fire radio, that involves working 10 channels simultaneously. And there are people in your ear. It's 10 different channels all actively talking to you. So Amanda, my supervisor, split the room in half. There were only two there that night, and one was responsible for the entirety of the front end and every other operation going on, and Amanda went to the back and coordinated the incident. I think their response was admirable and appreciated.
Next, I'm going to ask Chief Levert to come forward.
Good afternoon, Mr. Manager, Mr. Chair, and members of the board. Thank you for this opportunity to brief you on the Darby House Senior Apartments fire that occurred on July 4th on 1400 Shirley Avenue. Today, I'll give a brief overview of how fire, police, and our Department of Emergency Communications work together. But first, I'd like to ask those who responded to the incident to please come up with me. That's all y'all in the back. And just for clarity, this is not even a percentage of the folks that responded to the call. The actual shift that was there actually works tomorrow. So the folks that are here today actually are on their day off here supporting. So we say thank you for this recognition. This was a fast-moving and complex event that required quick decisions, strong coordination, and unified command approach. I'll walk through some key points on the fireground operations and major timelines, markers, and actions taken by our personnel that shaped the outcome. I also want to acknowledge the exceptional teamwork across the three public safety agencies, and their combined efforts directly contributed to saving lives and safely evacuating residents under challenging conditions. We had more than 50 personnel operating on the scene. Crews made entry to assist residents and begin interior suppression. Firefighters from Engine 302, Engine 303, Engine 306, Truck 306 were the initial units there to make entry. Without naming them all, because there are a lot, they were the first ones to enter and see the rapidly changing conditions. At 10:35, Captain Chris Schultz assumed command of the established unified command. With police and conditions worsened, we moved to a full third alarm. So that means we added more units because, as you can look at the size of the building, the conditions were changing. So we needed more personnel, more apparatus, and that's how we were able to handle the situation. Command worked closely with police to manage the evacuation routes, resource staging, and operation safely. The fire involved evacuating many elderly and mobility limited residents. Crews displayed tremendous care and creativity. So if you look at this video right here, you see a resident still walking through, and watch the firefighter walking through. That is Derek Mitchell right here, and you'll see in a few seconds, he's gonna be helping a resident out of the building, but he was using a red wagon. So in a time where you're getting someone out of the building, sometimes people can't walk, and you see, like, that is engineering at its finest in the middle of a fire to get them out of the building. These moments highlight the compassion and dedication of our responders that bring to work every day. But as some of the things for this incident we just want to highlight, so mind you, we have 50 to 70 firefighters coming in the building at the time. Imagine walking up the stairwell to save somebody, and residents are passing you, coming down the stairwells, through the hallways, and you're having to make a decision at that moment. Do I walk you down, or do I go up higher to help somebody else to be more danger or close to the fire? So those are the decisions that we have to make in a split second, and generally, that's where the police officers are coming behind us and grabbing those folks for us so we can continue to go further in. So without their partnership, this wouldn't have been possible. Just kind of to skip to the end of it, the fire was under control at 2:11 a.m. and crews stayed on scene all night and to the next morning just to monitor hot spots and make sure the fire didn't rekindle. And that's when the fire marshal's office began its origin and cause of the investigation, which is still currently going on. Some other things that I'd like to highlight. It's July 4th. It's a holiday. We're already busy, just like police were running calls for fireworks and things like that. When I called the manager, he immediately answered the phone, didn't ask questions. He said, "I'm on the way." So I just want to thank you, sir, for the support that you show public safety every day. He stayed with me until I think it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, ensuring that we had everything we need, to the point of making phone calls to get hotels for the residents. Had Rob Rowley cold calling hotels to find places for us to stay, and then he made a phone call. So I just want to say thank you, sir, for your unwavering support for public safety. You show that day in and day out. So this is also about police, fire, 911, but also, sir, your unwavering support that a lot of people don't see behind the scenes. But also to our Henrico Division of Fire folks, I just want to say thank you for the unwavering support that you show up every day for the county, for the community. And I just want to say personally thank you. And thank you all, board and staff, for recognizing us for this moment. We don't take it lightly, and we will continue to do this every day. Thank you.
Next is Executive Chief Ken Burnett.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, Mr. Manager, thank you for honoring us today. I can have officers come forward that were out that evening. Like fire, they're in the middle of their midnight shift, so we have several still trying to get that rest up for tonight. Thank you for being present. So on that evening, we had more than 30 officers respond to assist with the fire scene. Officers assisted with rescuing residents from inside the structure to the placements of residents to a safe area away from the fire. Many utilizing their own police vehicles on the onset and then transitioning into buses as they arrived on scene. As you'll see in the video up here, just went by an officer, didn't have a red wagon, Chief Claver, but we did have a wheelchair, and we were helping get everybody out of the apartment complex. Officers set up unified command with the fire division and assisted with securing the scene by controlling traffic and access to the complex. And we also had animal protection officers on site assisting with the retrieval of people's pets. One of the most valuable resources we had out on scene was our Metro Aviation Unit. Was overhead. That's our eye in the sky and providing directions and updates to our personnel on the ground. It's a really crucial piece for our teams, as we can see that in real time as well on the ground, so we can look at hot spots, so we can see where personnel might be or where traffic is moving or directions we might need to get people to. Overall, this was a team effort by all involved, not only at the fire scene, but also maintaining operations across the county during a busy July 4th evening. As far as our supervisors on scene, realizing what they had, having to shift that manpower and resources across the county from our western district all the way over to our eastern district. Several of our officers were also on other calls for service. For example, a large party in our central station, our officer understood the magnitude of the Darby House apartment fire and the resources being utilized. A patient was located at that separate call for service and needed immediate medical attention. One of our officers, Heilman, he made the timely decision and he self-transported that patient to a local hospital to receive treatment. So they were understanding the magnitude of what was taking place and making decisions out there on their own to get people medical treatment outside of just this call for service. We're proud of the strong working relationships built amongst public safety, from the chiefs to the line officers and dispatchers working in the field. Most of our response on calls for service involve the assistance of a dispatcher, a firefighter, a police officer, all coming to the call as one. Such interactions are performed daily on smaller scales, which has allowed us the continuity of operations on larger unplanned incidents. So I want to thank those officers and every member of public safety that was out there that evening, making the community safe and doing what we had to do. Thank you.
No, Mr. Chair, I think that the most significant impact of these stories is that all of the Darby House residents, a number of whom were dealing with mobility issues, were able to escape their homes safely without injury. That is a lasting testament of the efforts of our public safety personnel that night. You know, while the county's initial response efforts were wrapping up, the work to support the 127 residents who had been displaced from their homes was just beginning. Our emergency management chief, Rob Rowley, and deputy county manager for community affairs, Monica Smith Callahan, immediately began contacting our community partners and coordinating the vital assistance that they could provide. And here I also have to call out and recognize the Herculean efforts of our social services director, Gretchen Brown, our director of community revitalization, Eric Lebo, and our director of community outreach, Jaleesa Turner, who really got our partners in the community to respond with a resounding yes to just about every request that came forward. GRTC also is to be commended because they sent buses to Darby House to give residents a temporary space to shelter in the middle of the night. You have to remember what time it is. The American Red Cross, thank you, Jonathan, mobilized to provide resources and support, and Shamin Hotel scrambled in the middle of the night to get rooms ready at the Courtyard Marriott Glen Allen, and then GRTC transported residents. But here I've got to pause because I've had a long career, and this is one of the moments that I'll never forget. So I called Neil Amin, I think it was 1:15 in the morning, and he called me right back. And first thing he asked is everything okay? And I said, no, Neil, we need your help. And immediately he responded. And literally, I think that first night it was 62 hotel rooms that Neil was able to procure in the middle of the night for these displaced residents. So thank you, Neil, for everything that you and Shamin Hotels continues to do for our county. You know, these are just a few examples of the good work done that night. And we really probably have not done justice as far as the initial public safety response. It was absolutely Herculean. But in the days after, by our community partners, a lot of good work. Each of these organizations demonstrated the heart and selfless spirit that are the lifeblood of our community. Now, to talk more about the efforts of our community partners, I'd like to ask Monica Smith Callahan to come forward. But before she does, I want everyone here to know that while the fire was extinguished that night, the work for these residents continues as we speak. And Monica Smith Callahan is the tip of the point of the spear for our county for these efforts, many of which, I need to underscore, have never been undertaken. She's too humble to recognize that marshaling the post-operational response was incredibly difficult, requiring on her end many nights and weekends and individual touch points. The reality is that the residents of Darby House Apartments would be in very difficult situations had Monica not gotten involved. So before you begin, I'm going to ask the chairman of the board, I think the Board of Supervisors wants to present you with a little token of appreciation for not an extra day off, just a...
Sir, I don't take the days that I already am awarded. Not necessary, y'all. Oh, gee.
So before I begin, Ms. Manager, did her position even exist when she got hired for it?
No.
Right, no,
right,
real talk.
Right.
So I say that with sincerity and seriousness. Mr. Manager worked with Monica with the road race and saw her efforts with that international biking event in this region. And he told her, I want to hire you. And so she asked him, what's my job description? He literally took out a blank sheet of paper and said, you write it down. Whatever you come up with is what it'll be.
We've been writing it ever since.
Monica, the entire board is standing here because we want to present you Ms. Vice Chair, we want to present you the medal, the Henrico County Board of Supervisors Distinguished Community Service Medal. Presented to Deputy County Manager of Community Affairs, Monica Smith-Callahan. This medal is the highest honor that can be awarded by the Henrico County Board of Supervisors to an employee or resident who performs a significant action that benefits the community and or residents so profoundly that it goes above and beyond the call of duty. Such recognition may be for a single act of service or an extended period of service where the actions are carried out in a manner that reflects the positively on the resident or the employee and demonstrates a commitment to the Henrico way. Congratulations.
Now, how am I supposed to get my remarks after that? Thank you. Thank you. Oh. He was trying to say lower the mic because vertically challenged. Thank you, Mr. Manager. I always tell my kids I don't congratulate you for what you're supposed to do. I see this as my life's work. I was birthed to mobilize and motivate people to do great things, and that's what we do every single day. This is truly a team effort, and as Chief Clavert says, it starts from the top. We watch you, we see you, wear your humanity on your sleeve, and we want to work because of how you lead us. What am I here for? Sorry. Good afternoon, honorable members of the board. I would like to take a few minutes to recognize the extraordinary collaborative efforts that have taken place in response to the fire at Darby House Apartments. As you've heard, the fire displaced over 100 senior residents, many of whom lost not only their homes, but also their medications, their mobility equipment, treasured belongings, the comfort and familiarity of community that they had built over years with neighbors and friends. While the fire itself lasted only a matter of hours, the recovery has been ongoing every day since this fire and will continue into the weeks and months to come. For more than 3 weeks, an incredible team has come together with one shared purpose, and that is to ensure residents are safe, that they are cared for, and that they are supported as they transition again into what will hopefully be permanent housing for them. This has truly been a model of collaboration. The property owners from Homes for America, and we have Danielle and Frank with us in the building. Stand, please, Danielle and Frank. I want to say that this, I haven't worked with a lot of, well, you're a nonprofit, property owners, but the owners that we've had connection with through Eric's shop, it's not always been this pretty. It has not always been this collaborative and this responsive. This has been far and above anything we could have ever imagined with the owners of Darby House working in tandem, lockstep with us. So kudos, Danielle, and Dana could not be here. Dana Johnson with Homes for America, but she sent a letter, so I will give that to you after this. Thank you so very much. Homes for America, in partnership with their relocation partner, Housing Opportunities Unlimited, have worked side by side with Henrico County staff and community partners, coordinating housing, communicating with residents and families, and addressing countless logistical challenges. Within Henrico County, our teams from emergency management, who you've already heard from, Rob and please stand as I say, emergency management and his team, Rob Rowley, Department of Social Services. Gretchen is in interviews today, so could not be here. Community revitalization, Eric Lebo and his team, as well as our outreach and engagement, Jaleesa and her team, have been phenomenal. We have all worked lockstep, meeting every day to assess the residents' needs, solve problems, coordinate resources, and ensure that no one falls through the cracks. What has been especially inspiring is how quickly the community partners answered the call, as we heard the manager say, in those early hours after the fire when we reached out. And the outreach began across the region in the hours following the fire. Organizations stepped forward without hesitation. I would like to recognize just a few of those remarkable partners, some of which are here with us in the room. Others are on the live stream. So let's start with
Monica, can we give them a hand, let them sit down?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Our team. Red Cross.
Cut you off, didn't we?
No, all good. I see our Red Cross buddies, Meredith and team, Mr. White. I don't want to start calling names because I'll forget names. First, the American Red Cross. There are several Red Cross volunteers with us today, local volunteers and others who may be watching online. From the very first hours after the fire, Red Cross volunteers were present at the Marriott Courtyard, providing meals, medical support, comfort, and reassurance to the residents who had just experienced tremendous loss. Their work extended well beyond the emergency response. They brought compassion, organization, and stability during an incredibly uncertain time, and they continue to be an invaluable partner in this recovery effort. We are deeply grateful for everything they have done. So thank you to the Red Cross. You guys want to stand to be recognized? Thank you. I'd also like to recognize GRTC, which immediately provided transportation from the active fire scene to the Marriott Courtyard when residents later needed to be relocated to the extended stay hotels. Just a phone call to Monica at GRTC, and once again, they stepped forward without hesitation to make that transportation possible. So, Monica, thank you. Neighborhood Resource Center, under the leadership of Brianne Armbrust, became engaged almost immediately. Their team helped replace durable medical equipment, coordinated medication replacements, connected residents with critical resources, and perhaps most importantly, provided reassurance during an incredible, difficult time. So thank you, Brianne, and all your work. The SPAN Center, our area agency on aging, has been an essential partner by providing case management, individual support, and helping residents navigate the many challenges that came with rebuilding their lives after the disaster. I know they also had a board meeting this afternoon, so I think some are watching online if no one is in the room. Thank you to the SPAN Center. Feed More. Feed More has generously provided daily meals to residents staying in hotels and has committed to continuing meal support as residents move into their permanent homes, helping to ease one more burden during this transition. Is anyone here from Feed More? Excellent. Thank you, Feed. Oh, thank you, Lisa. Caritas's Furniture Bank has created a dedicated 3-room furnishing package. Yes, you get a furniture package from Caritas for Darby House households, ensuring that when residents move into their new apartments, they are moving into homes, not just empty spaces. Anyone here from Caritas? Well, thank you, Caritas. They're probably online. Recognizing that recovery extends beyond housing, Henrico County partnered with the United Way of Greater Richmond and Petersburg and other nonprofit organizations to establish the Darby House Fire Recovery Fund. This fund will provide financial assistance to help residents with relocation and recovery expenses. To date, more than $80,000 has already been contributed to this by generous funders, as well as the fund will remain open for anyone in our community who wishes to support these residents as they rebuild their lives. We also want to acknowledge our housing partners who have worked with Eric and his team to identify available senior housing units throughout the region. We sincerely thank Virginia Housing, Better Housing Coalition, and Spy Rock Real Estate Group for helping to create pathways to stable, permanent housing for these residents. If anyone is here from those organizations, please stand. Excellent. Oh, Greta, I didn't see you. Wonderful. This response reminds us that government can't do this alone. We need our partners. The spirit of partnership is what has made this response so remarkable. And to all the community partners, whether you are here in the room or joining us on live stream, please know that your kindness, generosity, and willingness to answer the call have made this an immeasurable difference in the lives of these residents. So thank you all for your collaboration, your partnership, and all the great work, countless hours that we spend on the phone daily. We meet daily at 1 o'clock to case manage, to talk through. It's just been a remarkable effort. So thank you, everyone.
Well, thank you so much, Monica, that your tears turned to smiles. We're so grateful. Everyone, again, thank you for being here. Thank you all again for your Herculean efforts to respond to this fire, as well as the continued support to our neighbors at Darby House. And thank you for everything that you do for our community every day. Now, I would like to give my colleagues an opportunity to share their words of congratulations. I'm going to start with our Vice Chair, Mrs. Misty Roundtree, then Mr. Dan Schmidt, and then Mr. Jody Rogish, and we're going to allow Reverend Nelson to close us out.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And, sitting here listening, and my mind went back to the first notification of that night. And when you think about it, you've got one of the biggest fires we've seen, if not the biggest fire we've seen, one of the most vulnerable populations that we have in our community. You have a holiday, you have a heat wave. I mean, you have just the worst possible confluence of all of these potentially disastrous, horrific circumstances, and to sit here and know how successful the efforts were to put out the fire, how successful the efforts were to evacuate the residents there, and how dramatically different things could have been. And I sit with that because, in this job, unfortunately, we get a lot of bad news. And, your mind sometimes gets a little jaded or half expecting to hear a negative outcome when something is starting to happen. And so to sit here today and to have all of these smiling faces and all this happy news, it does me good. I talk to Monica fairly frequently because she's one of the most amazing people that I know. And as these days were unfolding, and I actually went to it was a ribbon cutting or a grand opening of some sort, and Monica was there, and she didn't have to be there. It was in my district, so that's why I was there, but Monica was there. And I saw something that I had never seen in all this time that I've known her, and she looked fatigued. And Monica never looks fatigued. She may feel it. She may feel it, but and so she started sharing with me. But what stood out to me was not, talking about the logistics so much or how hard she was working. She was talking about the humanity. And can you imagine losing everything? Can you imagine just dealing with the fact that you're not going to return and having to tell people you're not going to return back to this home that you've made your home, and the fact of getting in there and talking to people and social services, folks hearing the stories of people that were living there and dealing with the pets and just the humanity of it. So I sit here and I love, hearing the logistics and, have everything worked out from, that kind of point of view, but it's always going to be the humanity of of the work that you all do that sits with me the most. So I am just incredibly, incredibly grateful for everybody being safe. I'm incredibly grateful for the work that continues to go on, the housing, just everything. I am in awe. I am in awe. I feel inadequate sitting here because I'm just a politician. You guys are the ones doing all of the hard work out here, and I'm in awe of all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A few perspectives unique from my one. Deputy County Manager Monica Smith Callahan never gets tired. I would dare say I've never seen an Energizer bunny for sure. But one perspective from a kid whose feet were dangling over the back of an aerial unit watching destruction like this. It's incredible, the work that you all have done. And to come together, and I saw Neil in the airport, and I was able to say thank you to you personally. The collective effort to come together is incredible. It allows us to go cheerlead for you. It allows us to lead this county with heart, and it allows us to go really be ambassadors for this county and for you and our partners every day as we work with our other regional jurisdictional partners. But as we go out and do the county's work, it really allows us to be really proud of what you all do. So I would say thank you. And I'm not surprised. I'm humbled, but I'm not surprised by this group. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It strikes me that going back to the first few minutes when the first 911 calls come in, you have no idea when the first 911 call comes in that you're going to get maybe 400 more calls. And, I go to the first responders, the fire, the police that get on site for the first time. And truly just thank you to all of you on the public safety side. Every day you put your lives out there, and I'm very appreciative of that. And then to the community partners that we have, obviously, Monica Smith Callahan, you run point on this, but to all of our partners, thank you. This is truly one of the reasons why I ran for this position, was because we have a great community, and I am super proud to be part of Henrico County and to be part of this community. And so thank you to all the community partners. And I think a few people have said this, but it can't go unsaid to thank our county manager, because true leadership starts at the top. And I really do believe that I know he has a true heart for humanity, and public safety would do anything for this man. And it does start with you, Mr. Manager. So thank you to you as well.
Oh, sorry. Thank you to everyone who has something to do with this effort. I want to circle back to the 127 people whose lives were changed because of this fire. And it's almost like, as a preacher, we do eulogies for persons who die, and then we say after the eulogy and the funeral, people go back to their regular lives. And persons have to still make adjustments to what has happened. Well, these residents still are making adjustments, and those who are close to the situation know. There are some who may still be in extended stay hotels or staying with family members. There are some who have to make decisions about what they're going to do. They woke up in the morning and did not think at the end of the day they had to deal with this. And so all of us, my challenge to the community, well, first of all, kudos to everybody that had to do who's doing the work, but the work has to continue. So let's continue to hold each other up, lift each other up. Let's keep, as we do the work, let's keep the people in mind who have had to readjust their lives. It's the beauty of government and partnership, and having the right people in office, because these moments, I think we support each other. I think we have a staff and a team that I'm not sure. 15 years ago when I first came here, we would have responded the same way. So I think we have the right people in the right spaces. And so let's continue to do the work. Let's continue to care for our people. I think this shows our citizens that when things do happen, their local government cares about them as people, and that's most important. So, thank you.
Thank you, colleagues. Again, thank you, everyone, for taking time out your schedules. This evening's, afternoon's occasion is over. Thank you.